Like, take for example, a woman who wants to become a da'iyah, for instance. And that's not particularly picking on women, but take examples also, from men. A woman who wants to become a da'iyah, is it a bad thing? It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. A woman who wants to preach, who wants to teach, and so on. But if this da'wah is taking her from her family obligations, does it become a problem? Yes, it becomes a problem. Is basically Asma bint Yazid. Asma bint Yazid came to the Prophet ﷺ and she said to him, you, ma'ashar al-rijal, you, the men, you were favored over us by al-Jum'ah or Jama'at, congregational prayers, wa shuhud al-janaiz, attending funerals, wa iyadat al-marda, visiting the sick, wal-hajj ila al-hajj, and frequent hajj, because we can't travel a lot, you frequently go. وفوق كل ذلك الجهاد في سبيل الله, and above all of this, jihad in the cause of Allah, for the sake of Allah. And then she said, وَنَحْنُ مَحْصُورَاتٍ قواعد بيوتكم ومقضى شهواتكم وحاملات أولادكم. So we are, your captives. We sit in your homes, we fulfill your desires, we conceive your children and give birth to your children, and we're just your captives. Where is our share of all of this goodness? She mentioned jama'at and hajj and iyadat marda and shuhud janaiz and the jihad in the cause of Allah. So the Prophet ﷺ said to her, حسن تبعل إحداكن لزوجها وطلبها مرضاته واتباعها موافقته يعدل ذلك كله. So the Prophet ﷺ said, you're being a good wife for one of you, إحداكن, for one of you to be a good wife. وطلبها مرضاته, and to seek the pleasure of her husband. واتباعها موافقته, and to be agreeable with him, is equal to all of this. Now, this is not, out of the Prophet's pocket. This is not because the Prophet ﷺ it's just a matter of generosity. This is from Allah. The Prophet does not speak of desire. وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. So when the Prophet ﷺ said this to her, it's not like the Prophet ﷺ is comforting her, no. He does not speak out of desire. Everything he speaks is wahy. So this is exactly true like he said it. We believe that he is most truthful. It is exactly true like he said it. And why is this? Like, this sounds a little bit too much, right? And some of the women get offended by this. No, some of them get offended by this. Because to them, if you're affected by Western mentality, to them it's female subjugation. So you're doing all of this, and we're just like being good wives to you equals all of that. It is basically وطلبها مرضاته واتباعها موافقته, and her seeking of his pleasure and her trying to be agreeable, to agree with him, or being agreeable. It's absolutely not. It's absolutely because Islam recognizes the importance of the family structure, the importance of this institution. The stability of this institution is the source of happiness, for the whole society, stability, happiness, prosperity, success for the entire society. When women went out after World War II, full force, and I'm not saying that it's haram for women to work, but I'm saying that when women started to compete with men in that, labor market, went out full force, we started to have all of the issue of the TV dinner and the obesity epidemic and the kids with ADHD and kids with this and this and that, and we have like 200 diagnoses for kids who did not have good parenting. Basically, you call them explosive personality disorder, you call them conduct disorder, you call them opposition of defiant disorder, you call them, whatever funny names you come up with. It is kids that really were, and I'm not saying that there are no biochemical predispositions. There may be biochemical predispositions, but no one can deny the impact of the environment on the psyche and behavior of the children. And then we started to have the escalating rates of divorce and family breakdown and so on and so forth. So Islam wants the family structure to stay together. The cohesion of this structure, this institution is extremely important. And because it is extremely important and because it requires a lot of jihad on the part of the woman to keep this together, she is the anchor of the household. And it really is a matter of jihad. It is a matter of jihad for a woman to actually keep the family together. It is, the Prophet ﷺ said, it is like Jum'ah and Jama'at and congregation prayers and Jum'ah, with attending the funeral prayers and visiting the sick and frequent Hajj and jihad, all of this, equal to all of this, because it is a huge burden. For the woman to try to be agreeable with a man that she did not grow up with, a man that is of different inclinations, different background, different personality, and she tries to keep it together and work hard to keep it together, and that is, a jihad. If she is seeking the pleasure of Allah by this, and here is the important contingency here, she could be the best wife, but she's not seeking the pleasure of Allah by it. Will that work? No, it doesn't work. Like you could be the best mujahid, you could make Hajj every year and a few umrahs in between, and if it is not for the sake of Allah, it doesn't count, all is gone. Same here. If she's doing all of this for the sake of Allah, to keep this family together for the sake of Allah, to look after her kids for the sake of Allah, then she gets the reward of all of these acts. What I'm trying to get back at is, she may find it more rewarding to be a da'iyah. Immediately rewarding. In terms of, fame and satisfaction, and the same applies to men also, by the way. You want to be da'iyah and you want to focus on ilm. Why are you focusing on ilm? So someone tells you, there is a janazah there, let's go. No, I'm busy, I have work to do. Because you want to excel in your seeking of ilm. You have to ask yourself, but isn't the janazah important also to attend? Doesn't it soften your heart to witness it, to follow the funeral procession, to see the burial? Doesn't it have an impact on your heart? Isn't your heart important? Isn't it more important than the knowledge that you acquire? The knowledge without a sound heart, if it falls on a sick heart, it becomes a plea against you. Allah's plea against you is that knowledge that falls on a sick heart. So then you ask yourself, if this is all about straightness. Straightness here is that you are following Allah's pleasure, not your own, not your own. And then you don't sit down and justify to yourself your own whims and vanities and vain desires, because that is what we do all the time. You see people making Hajj all the time, back and forth, back and forth. And then you see how they, conduct the business, for instance. You see how they treat their their family and their household. So how is it conceivable that you've been making Umrah 3 times a year and you didn't move an inch? Basically, this Umrah in and of itself is And I'm not saying that this is for all people, but it is basically a manifestation of his liking. If he's not doing this Umrah to show off, and I'm not saying that he's doing it to show off. Some people do it to show off. You know, you make Hajj so that people call Hajji Fulan, etc. But if he's not making it to show off, but he's making a lot of Umrahs, personally, he may not be seeking fame or seeking, to show off or anything. But again, he's not abstaining from any haram transactions. You know, his earning of money, he doesn't have any stop signs when it comes to his earning of money. There are no stop signs. So the Umrah here is basically to comfort his conscience. To say to himself, I do Umrah every year a few times, and he gives a little bit of charity, but he forgets that he has like a big wolf that is attacking his heart, his haram earnings. Or he forgets that, his ghiba and namima, or his mistreatment of his family could destroy all of those hasanat. That person is not straight. Straightness is not about the amount of what you do, as Umar ibn Abdul Aziz said. ليست الاستقامة بكثرة الصلاة والصيام والتخليط بين ذلك. Istiqama is not about fasting a lot, or praying a lot, or mixing between the two. Istiqama is where you meet أن تقابل كل أمر لله عز وجل بالائتمار وكل نهي بالانزجار. If you meet every command with compliance and every prohibition with abstention. That is Istiqama.